32 years ago this week, the blizzard of 1993 blasted the East Coast from Alabama to Maine. The so-called storm of the century impacted more than 120 million people. The snow totals were incredible: 60 inches in Tennessee, 50 in North Carolina, 43 in Syracuse, and at least 17 in Alabama. By the numbers, at least 270 deaths are attributed to the storm. Some estimates are over 300. And it was the second costliest winter storm in U.S. history. Here's a look at how that storm was covered back in 1993.
The plows kept moving undermanned against the raging storm. This was Route 81 northbound at 5:30 in the morning, also closed up. The tread mark's about the only sign where our camera was.
Looking at moderate blowing snow, and the winds are really fierce out here. The wind chills are down. I am really cold out here. And you can see that this is actually one of the smaller drifts. Behind me, 7- and 8-foot drifts.
PennDOT's heavy-duty machinery and snow plows that are as tall as I am can only do so much in fighting a storm of this magnitude. The culprit really isn't the snow, but it's the fierce wind that has turned this storm into a blinding one.
You couldn't see more than 5 feet in front of you, and there was cars everywhere on the roads, and there's a bunch of trucks upside down, and so we decided to pull off.
You can see through the parking lot the wind is definitely blowing, the snow is falling. It doesn't seem like it's really letting up any to me, actually.
This guy has tried again and again to make it up that hill. We talked to him a little bit earlier. He has been here since 4 o'clock in the morning and cannot get up the speed to get off, and I guess he chooses not to try to use the off-ramp because that's not much better with the snow drifts.
As you can see, the blizzard is in full swing out here on the weather patio with snow accumulating everywhere, including on my eyelashes on the top of my head.
Blowing snow, drifting snow, and very poor visibilities will make any kind of travel absurd.
These are the driving conditions in the northern part of Rhode Island tonight. Roads are completely snow-covered with whiteout conditions.
There were fears there could be lots of damage, that the storm could be more severe than Hurricane Bob or the no-name Atlantic storm from October 1991. But the near-hurricane force winds died down before high tide, and that made a big difference.
In 72, it was 30 below zero over here, you know, so it's no problem.
Wow. Several of our 200 meteorologists at stations across the country were on the air forecasting the blizzard of 93. We asked them to share their memories of the storm.
It was really a humanitarian crisis. People could not get medical help that needed medical help. They couldn't get to a hospital. First responders had a hard time making their runs. It was a very chaotic weekend. And at one point, we had about 500,000 people just in my state alone that had no power. And the Sunday morning after the snow stopped on a Saturday morning. The next morning, it dropped to 2 degrees in Birmingham. Coldest March temperature ever. But it was a generational event, and it's going to be, it was one for the ages. The next time we have an event like the blizzard of 93, I'll be long gone.
We call it a snowicane, but it was hurricane force winds, and then with snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. There were times when, you know, we all kind of looked at each other and went, wow, like this is the real deal. It was the one time in my life where I went through a weather event and I was actually scared. I was afraid. I was fearful.
It snowed and it snowed and it snowed, and then that snow started blowing around, and it was a full-on blizzard. Times Square was unrecognizable. More than 20 inches of snow later.
It produced wind gusts to hurricane force across the Carolinas, even a peak wind gust in Myrtle Beach of 90 miles per hour. That's higher than any hurricane that has hit our coast in nearly 30 years.